give a quick review of Africon 2025. And it was all the way live in Atlanta this year. I believe this was the first year. It was in Atlanta. I think they've done LA. Not sure if they've done Houston before, but 2025, I wanted to give a review because a lot of the people that I know who go to Africa and have businesses in America and Africa and Europe, etc. Some said, "Oh, I never heard of that one." So I want to give an honest review so people can know what's going on. If you don't know me, I am 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐭. I am a dual citizen. One of my we collect residencies and citizenships, but one of the things I'm most proud of is being able to get a Sierra Leone citizenship a few years ago by descent. Shout out to Miss Gina Page, African ancestry, Diallo, and the whole team over there. Also hold residencies other places, been to 26 plus countries, travel with the family, travel for business with clients. We've been able to take almost, if not over 200 people to African nations, just to give you some background. So when I'm talking, you understand that I'm not just talking about somebody who just jumped on the wave. I've been going to different countries in Africa for over 20 years. I grew up with Africans. I grew up with everybody, really, being from the Bay. But I grew, best friends were from the areas. Grandmother went to Africa. I recently and got back from her funeral, and I a picture of her on a camel, and all those things inspire you as a kid, and you're like, man, she was in Egypt, and, doing her thing. But Africon 2025 was all the way live. Plenty of space in the beautiful Omni Hotel that they just, decked it out. I stayed at the Omni, and I only stayed for Friday and Saturday. I left late Saturday night on a direct flight, but there was a gala, there was an opening reception, but I had other engagements. And like I just aforementioned, I was just coming off a funeral where I flew, my kids and I had to go from, here to California, home sweet home. And we saw an advertisement on someone else's video, I believe it was, and my wife said, "You have to go to that." And I said, "Huh? What?" She's like, "No, you have to go." And by the third time she reminded me, I was like, "I already got my ticket. You ain't got to beg me to go travel. That's what I do." I snapped out of whatever stupor I was in, and they actually had free sponsored tickets. And that allows somebody who doesn't know what's going on to say, "Hey, let me get into this." And then if you get there, you can try to buy add-ons if you want. I just stuck with the free ticket, and like I said, this is fresh off, so they're still doing stuff at the thing, but got this green wristband, and went to all the free things I could get. And the free gets you a lot. Let me tell you, the free gets you a lot. To the main sessions, to some side sessions. There are some VIP workshops and areas that one we were kicked out of, but we weren't properly prepared. At that time, I had probably a group of 4 or 5 people. It was our caravan. And they're like, "Hey, are you?" Because they knew we didn't belong. Because I think they knew who they were meeting with. And then I looked at the sign after. I'm like, "Oh, VIP, okay." Yeah, we didn't schedule any meeting or anything like that. So yeah, but it was all good. It was all love, and things were cool. Now, you could try to find negatives of any conference if you want, but it's really about what you're going for. I was really going there just to learn and network and see what I was missing. And, Fidelity, I believe Nigeria was a major sponsor, FNITCC, or maybe Cut 1C, but you guys can play around and Google that and look on their beautiful website too. But it was cool, and I was, I had shared it with clients and friends, and that's why I had a small caravan of people with me, at least for that day. But I'm one of those that when I go to a conference, I'm gonna find my tribe. And I even found, my guy Abs came through, my Gram fam, Shantae in Atlanta. If y'all don't know Shantae and you need anything done in the African space, she's very connected, always willing to help and give. and her time is coming when she gets to Africa. I hope she stays, because she's gonna win big, just with the spirit that she has. And she introduced me to her friend, who Kevin Ford, definitely has a book in him. But I'm trying to stay on point with the African review, just giving you some layout of my experience. My guy 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜 came through. Him and I used to work in the same building in Washington State near Seattle, and I introduced myself, and I kept staring at him, and I'm like, I know this guy, because he looks like the actor from The Best Man, Harper, I believe is his name, or you know, the writer, whichever one is the writer, whatever. So African, beautiful. Somebody had said on the second day, and Luis Auntie's Puff Puff, who also does hair. That's my friend, dear friend. And you know, so we're all out there. But somebody had said, hey, where's all the food? And there were plenty of food businesses, plenty of vendors from all over Nigeria. Claude Kamali, I'm going to mess up the name, the Cameroonian superstar fashion designer, Saks fashion designer, United Airlines fashion designer. She was in the building. I didn't get to talk to her. I talked to a representative, and everything was about Cameroon when I heard, but they were always so busy. And I wanted to talk to everyone, but sometimes you just got to get names, run with it, send people DMs, and that's all you can do, because everybody wants to talk to, you know, the winners, especially the people that they know are winning. There were some people who had their food businesses, like the product, the pounded yam, the spice. I actually got some spice. Hope to have that brother on my podcast, Diversified Game. Go check that out. But it was packed with people. And even there was one Ethiopian vendor. And if they ever do this in Washington, D.C., I know the Ethiopians are going to show out. But I was wearing the same cross, and she was probably the only person to know, you know, that this is the cross of Lalibela. And I got it in Lalibela, Ethiopia this year. And, you know, but, you know, it just, it's always nice to see everybody from the continent. And I hope that, you know, whether it's in Atlanta or in D.C., more Africans, hopefully Rwanda and more South Africans show up, more Kenyans show up. Uganda, South Africa, well, Kenya and Sabona, South Africa. You know, more Malawians, Mulibonji to Malawians. You know, more of them come out so we can really show out, and even have to get bigger venues. You know, the venue was plenty of space, plenty of floors. Truth of God was in the house. I actually stayed for worship before jetting out on my plane, and Gino preached. I caught it while I was at the airport, and in the plane I caught the sermon. But I was happy to see him. I just thought it was. I said, did the Muslims just get their own floor and there's a private event? So nosy me, which I would have avoided this staying at the Omni. I could have just crossed over, but on the day I had to leave, I left my bag at the bellhop, went outside. I said, let me just go outside, touch the air real quick, the sun, walked, and that's how I found the Truth of God conference. And that was beautiful, being able to talk with them. So it was plenty going on. You know, I know people say, well, where was the food? There was food if you had a certain ticket. That food looked good too, smelled good too. I was just running around. I probably ate all sides while I was there, just because, you know, I really wanted to go to 𝐼𝐶. Forgive me. I wanted to go to 𝐼𝐶, and I had people willing to take me to 𝐼𝐶. I just didn't want to fight Atlanta traffic. My mind was not prepared to fight any Atlanta traffic, because Atlanta traffic is like Houston traffic, it's like LA traffic, it's like New York traffic. I just, no, I wasn't trying to fight it. And it wasn't that it was bad, but it was 30 minutes away. So that's an hour trip to get some food, and I was just cool, you know, and that's okay. I do that sometimes. So, AfriCon, I definitely would like to go next year. Definitely like to bring more clients and friends and business partners. Met some great people. I definitely say whether you got a free ticket, which I saw other people free tickets, whether you got a paid ticket, which was like $100, or even if you get the VIP ticket, the information and the amounts of people were worth the money for sure. Now, let me go into the deep of learning about conferences like this. Because if you only go to the main stage, you might hear some interesting people. You know, David Banner was there. I can catch David Banner on a podcast for what he said there. But some people may never heard of David Banner, right? And David Banner, you know, 6 degrees of separation. One of my mentors, Charles, was David Banner's mentor back in the day, in his, you know, Mississippi days before he was famous. But I listened to that speech in the beginning, and others, and Shaka Zulu was there, and they had their purpose of being there, just like if any of my clients were there. But it's in the breakout rooms and the workshops is where things can get personal, and you have, you know, back and forth and time for questions and follow-up and dialogue, but you need to have your stuff together. There was a great room, a couple great rooms I went to. Again, I only did the, you know, 2 days of there, and I got there and I was like, yeah, I'm just all in. But one thing for all conferences, and not just AfriCon, when you are like in the main stage areas, is that people will tell you how successful they are. They can tell you how hard they are. They can tell you, you know, they came from humble beginnings. That's great. But what I'm looking for, and why I missed Wale's, you know, speech, and Devonge was there, but I wasn't trying to party. That's why I didn't go to the reception or the Gaelics. I just wasn't in a party mood. But the reason why is I want to know who are the key players we can connect. Because sometimes people get on the main stage and they just, you know, they just go off, you know, security or the entourage. They have places to be, you know. I doubt everybody who was on the main stage was, you know, coming for the money. I highly doubt that. They are coming for the love of Africa, of the love of the diaspora, to try to connect so others can do business. So there were no bad speeches, but there were just some things that I've heard this. I've been going to Africa, like I said, 20 plus years. I know people, we have a business in Africa. I got a home in Africa. That isn't for me. So I'm trying to go into the nitty gritty and learn, hey, how are we doing export, import, and what is a diaspora bond, which is one thing I learned about that I did not know what it was. Now, the countries I'm connected to maybe won't qualify or may not have the best returns, or if you can even get in. Because I've been told by my Lebanese friends that anyone who has bonds in Sierra Leone are not giving them up. Like, you know, and if anyone can tell me differently or wants to sell their bonds, please hit me up. Links in the description. I'm easy to find. Yeah, that's, you know, I want to know how. Wait, you got into this company? Who is the buyer? And, you know, can we be mentored through you? Which they did have mentorship breakout rooms, and again, those might have been at the you know, if you bought a paid ticket, so you can't hate on something you didn't pay for, and where, you know, you can really connect with people. But it's not on the person who's already winning to carry you all the way on their back. They can hold your hand, and you got to stay on them. You got to learn how to make a friend, and I do that very well. And that's because I've done it for 2 decades, and I've done it for companies. And when I got to go into a room, I need to meet the key players, and you got to be genuine. You can't be like a scavenger, just, you know, who are you? Because sometimes it's the janitor that can hook you up. Sometimes it's the person who looks like the janitor who has everybody else working, and they're just sitting there quietly in a t-shirt. They don't have to wear a suit. Yeah. There's power in a suit, and there's also power in not wearing a suit, depending on what level you are. You know, met a wonderful lady, Patience, and she's in mining. And I was talking about, you know, some things in mining, why I have not wanted to get into diamonds especially, but you know, she was like, yeah, some of that is true. And you know, her social media presence can't be as big because, you know, when you go to Africa, the beautiful part of it for me is being able to blend. And I want to say this on Afrikaan, but the beauty is to be able to blend. My friends and people I know who have to have security, I don't aspire to want to be that popular. I just want to make progress and profit so I can put my people on and hire more and build more things like millionairex.ai. And so people don't, you know, they don't have to know me to know that you can learn from the AI. Now I do these things and I can make an AI character, but these videos at this point don't, you know, they don't go super viral, and that's okay. It's for you. It's for the people who really want to learn and earn, and two, aren't worried about, you know, trying to be the biggest. I know people like Charleston White said what he had to do to become famous and talk crazy, and you know, to me that's like a form of prostitution, and I've never been on that part of it where I had to perform. I'm directing traffic all day, and I've always directed traffic. I never followed, so I don't, you know, when we followed the OGs, they taught us to think for ourselves. So I don't get into those things, and I don't have to be popular crowd. I don't have to be on stage. And that's why it's good for what I do, because I can help others get on the stage, and those people who aspire to do that. And you know, somebody might say, but I saw you on the stage. If I was asked to be on the stage, but I don't pitch myself to be anywhere. I love seeing people on stage and seeing how they do it, and then coaching. It's kind of like a trainer for boxers. You know, you can't fight your whole life. Sometimes you got to go teach, and you got to go make sure people can get rich and retire rich if they listen. That's a whole nother video I want to do too. But I want to stay on this Afrikaan and give y'all some feedback to check out Afrikaan. You know, 2 thumbs up to the founders who put that together. I'm trying to reach out, so you know, check your LinkedIn, check your DMs. You know, 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐭@cprfirm.com is my email. We're all connected through, you know, this technology. But yeah, it was a beautiful thing, and the pros definitely outweigh the cons. And if someone wants to say, well, what was something that you wanted to better? Every conference can be better. Were there some things on time? I can't say anything about that, because if it wasn't for a slight delay on the opening remarks, I would have missed them, because I too was, you know, just coming off the plane. Did my early check-in at the Omni, and you know, yeah, so I wasn't mad about that. And one thing we have to know is we are on our own time, you know, and you know, again, there was nothing negative that would stop you say I want my money back, or I should not have paid for this. Just time, or if you know someone's playing music, whether they want people to wrap it up, or if it's just a mistake of the speaker not knowing that their time is up. I don't know. Y'all know say when I start speaking in Spanish, you guys should know, you know, that's not really like something you should worry about. Worry about, again, connecting with people and what you want to get. What is your service? I know what my service is, and what I tell everybody. We are a full service consulting and public relations firm. We handle strategy and business management. We can do this in any country. We've done it in various countries. We can travel with you, and it's just that easy. So I'd love to see everybody who went to the conference make a positive video, even if it's a short, on any platform that you like, about Afrikaan and the experience that they had. So then what I'm saying, nobody will say, stop the cap. Nah, it was beautiful, and nobody paid me. Again, I was not paid to be there. I don't know the founders yet, but I do hope that I can get my people, my clients, my friends, my family who's connected, who I know have added value because one great thing that they did do is they brought people that live in Nigeria or live in another country, and they're here, and maybe they live here, or maybe they go back and forth, but a lot of people live in Nigeria that came. But they also had people who are from the diaspora, the Black American, the Black British, the Sudanese American, you know, they were there in the room so they can speak from different things. Because when you go to most YouTubes, y'all notice how, like, I was watching one, the African American women and the African women, and for the African American women, which none of them have been to Africa, how do we have them talk and just have that thing? Get some people. I know too many people I could have, you know, hit up. So I'm going off the rails. AFRICON 2026. We look forward to that one. You guys, be blessed. Make sure you share this with somebody and let them know. You know, they can listen to me on times 125 if I'm too long-winded, but y'all listen to nonsense more than that. So I usually don't go this long, but I was just feeling it. I said, let me get this off my chest. Let me promote something positive, because often, a lot of times, we got something negative to say about something, but when it's positive, we don't push that out to the world where everybody can hear it and get that cosign. You know what I mean? I'm killing cash again. CPRfirm.com is my main business. This Millionaire.x.AI is a side project that the main business has put together, and I thank Wealthy Vibes for helping me develop it. Ty, man, appreciate everybody out there. You guys, like it, comment, ask your questions, and I can do more videos, and I can even connect with you and interview you if you want on my own podcast. You guys, share this game is the most important thing. Be blessed.